Wide on set, rolling. Sarah was speeding.
Carry 3, bro, take 3. Mark.
Okay, here we go. Same thing, Victoria, that was awesome. And action!
Well done, Ryan. Thank you, sir.
What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing? Happy Sunday. It is Sunday, July the 14th, 2024, 2:11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My name's Dave McRae, coming to you live from the Voiceman Studios in Toronto, Canada. And this is episode 270 of McRae Live. A big update show on, of course, It's Me Billy Chapter 2. I haven't done one of these in a while, so I wanted to get one out there and just kind of tell you where we're at with post-production, the trailer dropping, the perks, of course, what's going to be happening, all this kind of stuff. I want to get it out there. I want to do a show on that. I said I was going to do an update show, and that's what we're doing today. 270 episodes. This is the 270th episode. Yes, hey, hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're having a great weekend. Hope everything is going well for you. And, Rosalia is in the chat. Brandon Collins is here. CM, Ryan Oshlow. Great to see you guys here. Warren Armour is here. Chester Franklin Jr. is here. Sawane's Knight. Christopher Ruggiero is here. All of you here. Well, not all of you, but a lot of you are here. Yes, 270th episode of McRae Live. Imagine if I did this every day, like 5 days a week. I'd probably be at like 5,000 episodes right now. Could you imagine? Because I started doing this like 4 or 5 years ago. The McRae Lives, I mean. But yeah, so I haven't done one of these update shows in a while, like a show specifically dedicated to updating those who care, those who are interested. And I'm aware that not everybody cares, and that's fine. That's fine. You don't have to care. But I care, and a lot of you do care, and we're excited about this, of course, to finally get this movie out there. It has been a lot of hard work. So let's start here. Let's start with post-production and how well post-production is going. So this is where we are at currently with post-production on It's Me, Billy Chapter 2. Bruce and I, as of yesterday, we have completed we've completed the picture lock. So the picture is, for all intents and purposes, it is locked. And for us, what that means for us is that we are not going to be adding, additional scenes or additional takes or removing a take and, putting something else in there. We are happy with how it is. Now, that doesn't mean that before we release it in the next month or so, that maybe we watch something and we go, oh, you know what, we can maybe trim a couple of frames off of that. Yeah, that's not a big deal. But in terms of, you know, the sequence of events and the takes that we've chosen and the order for which we've put them in and you know, the timing and the pacing and all that kind of stuff, we are very happy with it. We began this process, of course, back in the late winter, February, March, and we are happy that it is, you know, that we are essentially locked. The sound design, as you know, I design all the sound, and I work on all the sound and the sound mixing and the sound mastering and the sound designing and all that kind of stuff, taking everything that was recorded on set from our boom operator, Jeremy Kane. I was going to say Adrian Ancona, but he was our boom and sound recordist on Chapter 1. Taking all, of course, the, you know, the dialogue and doing all that and the mixing and all this kind of stuff. And so that is something that we'll be fine tuning and tweaking probably over the summer into the early fall. Just kind of, you know, fine tuning, tweaking, that kind of stuff is always sort of kind of an ongoing thing. We'll say, you know, we have some leeway to kind of fine tune, reel it in, you know. But we are at a stage where the designing, the sound design and all that is pretty much done. The music is beginning to be put in there. It's looking great. It's sounding great. And we are, what we will do now is, well, what's going to happen now is we are going to pass over the project file to our DP, Gregory Bennett, who is going to be doing the color on it as well. And anytime a DP gets the opportunity to color their own film, because usually what ends up happening is that it will be taken to a colorist to do it. Now, Greg, of course, he's worked, you know, almost 40 years in the business and shot everything you can imagine and is a 3-time CSC Award nominee. I mean, he's the real deal. So he knows how to do it. So we figured, you know what, Greg, like we did with Chapter 1, he did all the color on that. We said, you know what, let's keep it consistent, right? And let's hand it off to you. And of course, we're paying him extra for that, of course. And he was like, great. So he's been doing this a long time. He knows how to do it. And anytime a DP can get that opportunity, obviously that's awesome. If the DP knows how to do it, of course. Not all DPs feel comfortable in doing it, but Greg does. Which is great. So the project file will be then sent off to our DP. He will begin the process of color grading and sort of reeling in the what was captured on set, of course, which of course is all in camera, but really reeling it in and fine tuning that now and making it really pop, which is great. And then of course, while he's doing that, we're going to be starting the mixing and the mastering now, and the EQing and the leveling out of all of the sound design and the music and things like that. So there's a base in there right now, which is great. And you know, some scenes are mixed better than others because we're sort of just kind of getting everything in there, doing sort of a light mix to kind of make sure we have everything where we want it, all the sound where we want it, where the musical cues come in, and that's going to hit there because that beat's got to hit that, and that's an emotional beat that's got to hit that, and we got to have, you know, all that kind of stuff, right? It's a lot of hard work. And so now that we're comfortable with where we are in terms of picture, like I said, we send that off to Greg. He works on that. We work on the sound. When he's done with the picture, he sends the project file back. It's a whole thing, but it's great. It's how we did Chapter 1. It's how we're doing Chapter 2 as well. And we're very happy with it. We've watched it. I haven't done this yet, but Bruce, a couple of days ago, watched Chapter 1 and then Chapter 2 back to back. And he said that it works great. It works great as a double, you know, kind of thing. And of course, with the two films together, you know, it'll probably, like, with the two films together, it will probably be about an 80 to 90 minute film, and which is great. So he watched 1 and 2, and he says it worked very well. Works really well as a follow-up. Obviously, it picks up immediately where the first one left off, and it works very well. It's just as cinematic, just as top-notch as the first film, and it's a darker piece too in terms of tone. So, but he said it worked really well. I've yet to do that. I've yet to watch 1 and 2 back to back to see how they fit, but he's done it and says it plays really well, which is good, which is great, which is a great segue into my other thing that I want to mention to all of you who, care. I will make a social media post about this as well, because I understand that just doing it here on the channel, not everybody watches the video, and not everybody it's funny, not everybody is interested in getting updates on It's Me, Billy, but they'll all watch the movie. Do you know what I mean? Not everybody, but they will. But nonetheless, I understand. I mean, this is sort of, the bookkeeping side of it. And Dave's not talking, Halloween or Freddy, so I don't care. Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. But if it was the movie that dropped today, they'd all be watching that. I totally get it. But this is the bookkeeping stuff that I've got to get out there, because it is all because of you guys. We raised, 150,000 Canadian dollars, which is over 100,000 US dollars, because of you. So it is only appropriate that I, take the time, now that we're sort of getting to the other side of post-production, I take the time now to, update everybody and let everybody know where we are. I mean, I think people that have donated would want to know that, right? Anyway, that's just me, but, so really great stuff there. And, I think it's important too that, again, and I will mention this once we get closer to the release, and obviously once, social media, or, I'll mention it all across there too. This film will work best if you watch the first one first, or do yourself a favor, watch the original Black Christmas, then watch It's Me, Billy, then watch It's Me, Billy Chapter 2. Why not? Like, just take an evening where you watch, all three, because it would just be like watching two movies, right? So I would do that. Like, even if you've watched It's Me, Billy, but you haven't watched it in 3 years, don't just watch Chapter 2. Watch It's Me, Billy again and watch Chapter 2, right? And that shouldn't be, like, it's just like watching a movie. I mean, because with both parts, it's like a 90-minute movie. So just set aside some time, watch Chapter 1 and then watch Chapter 2. Because I think the experience is going to be richer and more fulfilling for you if you have a fresh perspective on Chapter 1 going into Chapter 2. If you just recently watched it, like in, the side of a week, whatever, that's great. Or watch it the night before Chapter 2, drops. You know what I mean? Like, watch it on October 10th, then roll into Chapter 2, whatever the case is. I think that's the best way to do it, because it's important to remember that Chapter 2 is, although we're calling it Chapter 2, right? Because of how we've had to split production, it is really the last half of the movie. So it's I say that it's kind of like a Halloween 1, Halloween 2 thing, but I say that in the sense of that it picks up immediately where the first one left off. That's what I mean by that. But Halloween 2 is its own film as well. It has a 3 acts, it has a 3-act structure. It has a beginning, a middle, like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't, like, it's its own thing as well. It's Me, Billy Chapter 2 really isn't. You can watch it on its own, but you can't watch it on its own without having seen the first one. And like, do you know what I mean? So it really does feel, it plays beautifully. But I just think that, not everybody's going to do that, obviously. But for the best experience, I think it's going to feel more fulfilling and richer having just watched the first one. I think you guys know what I'm trying to say, right? Having not seen the first one in 3 years and just rolling into Chapter 2, do you know what I mean? It's kind of, it's kind of funky. But anyway, yeah. So, but we're very happy with it. We're very happy with it. It's darker. The tone, the feel, the sound, the score. I mean, everything's just great. And it's rolling nicely. And Lynn is great in it. Shout out to Lynn Griffin. She's great in it, of course. Everybody is great. And it really does feel like that conclusion that we wanted to do. So yeah, very happy with where we are in terms of post-production. The film is still on schedule to be released on Friday, October 11th. Again, for those of you that may not know, although all of you probably do, at least certainly those of you that are watching right now, but there may be some that don't. The reason why we've chosen Friday, October 11th. Some people find that. I know there were a few comments on the teaser trailer when the date came up. There were a few comments from people that just didn't know, that just said, "Oh, releasing a Christmas movie at Halloween time. Pfft, that's smart." And it's like, well, but the reason for that is because despite the fact that the US audience knows Black Christmas was released on December 23rd or 4th or 20th, somewhere in there, by Warner Brothers, that's not when it was first released. Black Christmas is a Canadian horror film, and it was first released in Canada, in Toronto, on Friday, October 11th, 1974. That was the very first, the same day the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was released, Black Christmas was, in Canada. And so it only makes sense from a symbolic standpoint. We're celebrating the 50th anniversary this year, that we decide to release our film, not in December, but on Friday, October. And that's the great thing. October 11th this year is also a Friday. So it is 50 years to the day. It's not like it's a Tuesday this year. Do you know what I mean? Friday, October 11th, 1974. Friday, October 11th, 2024. I mean, we had to do that. We had to do it. So that's why we're doing that. We understand that Terrifier is also releasing that day. And Terrifier, I mean, let's be honest, Terrifier is going to be the talk of the town that weekend. But we have something that Terrifier doesn't have. We have Christmas cookies. No. We have our movies for free. Our movies, so you don't have to pay for it. So by all means, I feel like running the ad for that Austin Powers did in 1999, I think it was, or something like that. I think it was for the Phantom Menace. I think it was something like, if there's one movie you see this year, make sure it's Star Wars. But if there's two movies you see this year, make sure it's Austin Powers and The Spy Who Shagged Me, or something like that. It was really funny. They knew that, that Star Wars was just come on, it's Star Wars, right? And obviously we know that although we are a professional film, we are a fan film after all. And so we understand that, and we're a short film and we're online only, and we understand that way more people are going to be interested in Art the Clown, and that's fine. So if there's one movie you see on Friday, October 11th, make sure it's Terrifier. But if there's two movies you see on October 11th, make sure it's Me, Billy, Chapter 2. And ours is free. So go to the theater, watch Terrifier, then come home and watch It's Me, Billy. That's how you got to do it. It's free. It's free. Why not, right? There's no fucking excuse, man. There's no excuse. But no, so that's why we're doing that. It's not, we had made that decision last year. So, it's kind of, it is what it is. I mean, we're not going to move it. We're going to keep it there, despite the fact that the talk of the town will likely be all Terrifier that weekend. And we understand that, but we want to keep ours there because of the symbolic nature of it, because it's 50 years literally to the day. Literally. So, we have to do that, right? We have to do it. So, but we're very excited about it. It's looking great, very cinematic. I think a lot of you are going to be we're so proud of the first film. It looks cinematic, of course. This one looks just as, but darker in tone. And it's got a real dark tone to it. And so we're very happy with it. And so that's a great, happy where we're with post. Picture is essentially done. It's going to be shipped off this week. The project file is going to be shipped off, email, basically, to get all the color done. And we'll continue to tweak the sound and mix and master and EQ over the summer, over the rest of the summer, essentially. And the movie is still on target for Friday, October 11th. Okay, so that's a great segue into the trailer. The trailer. We are also working on the trailer as well, and it is essentially done, I would say. That project file will also be shipped off to Greg. The trailer, I think at the moment is about, I think it's just over 2 minutes, I think is what it is. This was an interesting thing because it was a fascinating trailer to cut because we are not cutting, again, even though this is It's Me, Billy, Chapter 2, it's the second installment. Again, it acts as the last half of the movie, right? And so where Chapter 1 was like the buildup, right? You know, it was the first act, a little bit of the second act, right? You know, this is like the rest of the second act and the third act. Do you know what I mean? So it really ramps up in Chapter 2. And it was interesting because when we went to cut it, you know, I was thinking to myself, I was trying to find a way to cut the trailer because I'm not cutting, there's only so much I can show without giving it all away because I'm essentially cutting a 2-minute trailer for the last half of a movie. Well, how do I cut a 2-minute trailer for the last half of a movie without showing everything? It's like saying, hey, cut a trailer from the 50-minute mark of Halloween to the end. But don't give any spoilers away. How do you do that? Right? How do you do that? Right? And so it was interesting. We figured it out. And we did not give anything away. But there was a little bit of sort of a learning curve to try to figure out how do we cut this trailer to the last half of the movie without showing the last half of the movie. Like, how do you do that? Because you guys know me. If you follow me for any length of time and you've watched all the trailers for, you know, Chapter 1 and the teasers and the marketing and all that, and if you watch the teaser for, you know, Chapter 2, which I hope you have, if you haven't, I don't know what you're waiting for. You know, you guys know how I roll. I cut all those trailers together. I cut them together, sound, you know, mix them, design them, all that kind of stuff. And you guys know me. I'm somebody that does not, I don't want to show too much. I just want to show enough, a lot of mood, a lot of atmosphere, want to show and all that kind of stuff. And so I never want to show too much. And I don't know where my filmmaking career is going to go. But as of right now, I have control over marketing. I may not have control over marketing my movie depending on where my career goes, right? Because, you know, usually unless you're somebody like a Spielberg or Scorsese that you may be able to have some input, you know, little Dave McRae shooting a movie for a studio, I'm probably going to have no fucking say how my movie is marketed, right? And that's just the nature of the business. But as an indie filmmaker at the moment and having that creative control, we have that creative control. We are the studio. We are the marketing department. So we're going to take advantage of it and really sort of market our, you know, our film the way we want. So we figured it out and we're happy with the trailer. Looks good, sounds good. And it gives you just enough into the story, just enough into where we're at, you know, and what to expect. Just enough, but of course not too much. And we will be making an announcement. I made the announcement last week when I said that we were 3 months away from the release of the movie and I dropped an image. We are going to be making the announcement this coming Tuesday across social media when next month the trailer will drop. So the official trailer for It's Me, Billy Chapter 2, I know it's been a long time coming, folks. The official trailer for It's Me, Billy Chapter 2 will drop next month in August. So we're very excited about that, to finally have that out there as well. And then, of course, you know, that's essentially 2 months before the release of the movie. So in between the official trailer dropping and the release of the movie, we'll have other goodies as well. We'll probably release a clip or, you know, we'll release, no spoilers, but, you know, we'll release like a clip or you know, I'll probably do like a 30-second TV spot, you know, or something like that, you know, something like that, right? You know, like how I did with the first movie. So, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. So there's that. Now, in terms of the perks, all you fine Indiegogo backers, First of all, I want to say that I really, really appreciate your patience. I've had some people reach out and say, am I going to get the Blu-ray before the movie releases? Well, the short answer is no. Obviously, that would make no sense. The first place the movie has to be seen or can be seen is not in the comfort of your own home on a Blu-ray. It has to be released everywhere first. So it is our hope that we can start getting Blu-rays out late this year, early next year. That's our hope. But please understand, it is a process. We're a two-man team. It is just myself and Bruce handling all of this. So we're working as fast as we can, doing the best we can. We do really appreciate your patience. We know that you guys understand this, of course. Like, you understand how it works. And we've done this before already, so we'll probably be a little bit faster with it now. And obviously, it's not during COVID and all that kind of stuff, which it was on the first chapter. But we're going to start, hopefully, now that we're on sort of on the other side of picture and we're going to pass, the project files off, we can finally, start now focusing on perks, getting the t-shirts printed, getting the hoodies printed. I can start reaching out to you guys that picked up the perks for McRae Live and all that kind of stuff. And I'm hoping to start doing that next month, which is great. And then also know, too, that the campaign, It's Me Billy Chapter 2 campaign, will not be up for too much longer. So we're thinking maybe sometime in September is when it might close. So if you have yet to pick up your Blu-ray, if you have yet to pick up a T-shirt or a hoodie, and you want it, and you also want your name in the end credits, then you're going to have to start doing that now, because it's something that you may. Now, that doesn't mean that after the campaign closes and that, we might have some extra Blu-rays on hand for, some people who may not have had a chance to get it. But for business purposes and tax purposes and things like that, in terms of our production company, it makes sense to. That doesn't mean we might not run a smaller one later on for whatever reason, like a small run for, whatever. But in terms of the main campaign, the campaign that's in demand right now, we're thinking about running I have to confirm with Bruce, but we've had preliminary discussions around like Labor Day weekend or, in September or, whatever the case is. So again, if you've yet to pick up a Blu-ray and you've been meaning to, the campaign's been open now for, over a year. But it won't be open forever. And we're not going to order an endless supply of Blu-rays because we can only, of extra Blu-rays, because we can only order ones that we like, it costs money, right? So we might have a few extra on hand, but it's important that if you want one and you want your name in the end credits, or you want a t-shirt or a poster or, whatever's there, if you want that, now's the time to do it. Don't sit on it. Don't wait. Now's the time to do it, because it's going to sneak up on you. Before you know it, it's going to close, and then I'm going to get a message going, "Oh, what the fuck?" And it's like, well, where were you over the last 18 months? Like, I just had all the time in the world. And it's like, you don't have all the time in the world. Now's the time to do it. So just keep that in mind. The link to the campaign is in the description. So just keep that in mind. And there's still one associate producer perk left, by the way. Just saying. There's still one associate producer perk left. So just saying, but it's there. So I'm hoping to start that next month is when we're going to start. It's just been, again, we're a two-man show here in terms of a lot of things that are going on. So we're doing our best to not bite off more than we can chew, and because we want to put the proper focus into the areas that need focus. And right now, the focus needed to be on post-production. It needed to be at crafting the edit and the narrative and making sure it's where we want it to be. Then we can turn our sights to finally getting those, perks into play and start that process. And again, it's a process, right? If you're new and you didn't donate to It's Me Billy Chapter 1, please understand that it is a process. It's not like we're suddenly going to have everything going out all at once. The Blu-rays have to be authored. They have to be made. They have to be packaged. The t-shirts have to be made. The posters have to be printed. The hoodies have to be, made, and, all that kind of stuff. So it's a process. But just know that, that we are planning on really sort of now turning our focus to that, I would say at the start of next month, which is great. So finally that's going to get going. And so, that's pretty much it. I will move over to the chat room now in a few moments and kind of answer some questions about it. If you have any questions about post-production, It's Me Billy Chapter 2, anything like that, I'd be more than happy to answer. The process, filmmaking, whatever the case is, I'd be happy to answer it. There is some ADR work, and there is a pickup shot that we are going to be shooting as well over the summer. I talked about that in a post, I guess a week or so ago. So there is that. There is one pickup shot we have to get, which we will do over the summer, and there's some ADR that we want to do with a couple of the actors as well. So, but other than that, everything is looking great. We're very pleased with it, and I think you guys will be too. I think. Well, listen. I mean, I don't know what your expectations are, and I don't know what you're expecting from it. But like all film, whether you like a movie or not, or whether you hate a movie or not, or whatever the case is, that's subjective. Whether it works for you, who knows? We don't know, right? It's Me Billy Chapter 1 worked for a lot of people. It didn't work for other people. I found that It's Me Billy Chapter 1, for those it didn't work for, I found it was because it just wasn't the type of horror movie that they were either expecting or wanting. They wanted more Friday the 13th, you know what I mean? And then for Black Christmas fans that it didn't work for, I found that the common thread for Black Christmas fans that didn't like the movie, the common thread was, I just don't believe that Jess Bradford survived the original film. And just the fact that you've created a movie telling me that she did, that's just a negative right there, and it just sours the whole movie for me. That was a common thread for some people. And for those of you that don't know, so in the original Black Christmas from 1974, obviously, for those of you that have seen it, for those of you that haven't seen it, then this might not make sense, but for those of you that have seen it, obviously Jess is pregnant. We know that. She's lying in the bed at the very end, but it just kind of ends on an ambiguous note. We don't know. She's in she's been sedated because of everything she's been through. She's in the bed in the house, but Billy's still in the house, and we don't know what's going on. And then there's this phone call you hear the phone, and then that's it. That's the end of the movie. Well, if you pay attention to what John Saxon's character says, he says towards the end of the film, he says, he made a phone call after every death. You hear him say that. I don't know if he's on screen when he says it, but he's in the room and you hear his voice. And so people have, and rightly so, have said, oh, well, there it is. That's the cinematic language that tells us that he got Jess. Because although we see her sleeping peacefully, when the camera's pulling out from the house, we hear the phone, that's it, got Jess. Well, that may be true. However, it is left ambiguous, and even Bob Clark, the director of the original film, had said that he had always thought about doing a sequel to the original movie years later with Olivia Hussey returning, playing Jess Bradford, but only this time she's the house mother, right? So, well, then that would tell us that she survived. And so although I completely respect hardcore Black Christmas purists who truly believe that, no, Jess Bradford died at the end of that movie, I totally get it. I'm a Halloween purist. I totally get it. There is a little bit of wiggle room because of the ambiguous nature. And I do believe that you can still craft a narrative that continues on from that story that still respects that ending. And I believe that we've done that. So there have been some Black Christmas purists that haven't liked our film. I don't think anything technical or anything about the movie. I think it's just the fact, it's just the sheer fact that It's Me Billy exists. I think they're just angry about it. There was one guy that was just completely over the top and like prima donna about it. And I was just like, dude, sit the fuck down. Like, shut up. This is not, you know what I mean? And I think too, because our film is, it's a professional product and it's legit studio quality. Although it's a fan film, I think it creates this illusion for a lot of people. Like they expect going in to watch a fan film to it feel like a fan film. And then they get into it and they're watching it and it feels like the real thing, right? Because from a production value and a technical standpoint, it is, and the acting and all that kind of stuff. And so I think it creates this illusion and they get really angry because it feels really official and it feels like it's more intrusive than some shitty homemade fan film or something, right? So it feels more intrusive to their beliefs. And so, but look, at the end of the day, we cannot control who's going to like our film or who isn't. That's filmmaking. That's the nature of the craft. And so with chapter 2, you know, there will be some people that will like it. There'll be some people that won't like it because maybe they'll have expectations about what's going to happen or what's going to be revealed or, you know, whatever the case is. And then either they just don't like it, right? They don't agree with it. Who knows? But at the end of the day, it's our job to deliver the best product that we can, the best film that we can. Chapter 2 was a more difficult shoot for a variety of reasons, like I've talked about, but we're still very proud of it. We're proud of the effort. I certainly think we were better filmmakers after doing chapter 1. I think we're even better filmmakers after doing chapter 2. I continue to learn and hone my skills in the craft, and I think you guys will be pleased, hopefully anyway, with It's Me Billy chapter 2. And it definitely feels like the last half of the movie, even though it was shot 3 years later. So I think we've done a really good job at that. So very excited. I'm excited to finally get it out there, so I can now move on to other projects. You know, I can move on to Port Robinson Road, or that, you know, we can focus on that film that Bruce and I were working on, a couple years ago, or like, and really, focus on original projects. People have asked me, will there be an It's Me Billy Chapter 3? The answer is no. I've said it before, but I will reiterate it here. The answer is no. Bruce and I want to go on to original projects. And that doesn't mean that Bruce and I will always direct together, because we have projects that we want to direct on our own. Like, Port Robinson Road is a film that I want to direct on my own. I want to be in the director chair, solo, creative control in that manner, because of the type of film that it is, because of the type of, it's based on a true story from my life and all that kind of stuff. And so we won't always direct together. We will from time to time, but we also want to direct solo as well and gain experience that way as well, right? Commanding a set on our own, honing our crafts that way as well. So that's what we want to do. And we want to do that with original projects. As much as, I've had a great time shooting the 2 Billy films, and I think I'm very proud of them. And but because they are fan films, we can't make any money off them, right? We can't make money off of it. We can't seek proper distribution in terms of like Prime or Hulu or where we can't, because it's a fan film that we don't own the intellectual property to. So as studio as they look, and as they are fan films after all, in terms of a label. And so we don't want to live in that space forever. Like, we want to be able to, we've shown what we can do, and now we want to be able to now move on to original projects that we can seek funding for, and that, who the fuck knows, maybe even wind up on Netflix or something. Who knows, right? So, because you can't make a living, making movies you don't own the IP to. So very excited about that. But lots going on. That's where we're at in terms of post-production. That's where we're at in terms of the trailer. The trailer announcement will come this Tuesday, so look out for that. The trailer will be next month. You'll know when next month on Tuesday. And of course, we're hoping now to start really dialing into the perks. Again, it's a process, so we appreciate your patience, but dialing into the perks next month as well. So very excited. Very, very, it's looking good. It's looking really good. Like, it's looking really good. Like, there's moments where I'm like, fuck yeah, I've done really well. This looks great. You know what I mean? Because we've worked really hard on it, to bring it home. Very, very proud with how it's looking and feeling. All right. Let's jump over to the chat room and see what all of you are saying. I know some member chats did come in, so let me grab those member chats. They're not super chats, they're member chats. So let's see here. We've got Mark Striano sends in a member chat. He's been a member for 11 months. Amazing. Says, congratulations on your continued success. God bless. Thank you, Mark. Really appreciate that, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. James McMillan, been a member for 2 months. Says, hi, what's up? How are you doing today? I'm so sorry I have missed some of your live streams. That's okay. I've just been busy working, but I'm here now, and I'm excited for It's Me Billy Chapter 2. Keep up the amazing work. Thank you, James. Really appreciate that, man. And thank you for being a member. And no worries. You're not obligated to be here. You're not obligated to be here. You got to do what you got to do. I got to do what I got to do. Davey Deathray, one of our great members, been a member for 10 months, says, I get why folks are pumped for Terrifier 3. But It's Me, Billy Chapter 2 is way more my speed when it comes to horror films. Let the dread to seep in and haunt me after the film is over, much like the OG Black Christmas. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Yeah, look, I mean, listen, we can't compete with... Even though I would put our film in terms of production value and, logistics and like the production itself, I would... Personally, I think our films are, but I will say in terms of like marketing and hype, I mean, that's, we can't compete with that, right? We have the fan film label. So we have to, put that on there and it has to be a fan film. And because of the stigma, despite the fact that we're professional productions, because of the stigma associated with fan films, it's very difficult to break through that barrier and that stigma and get people to pay attention to you. Because as soon as somebody hears fan film, they go, because they expect poor acting, shitty production value, shaky camera work, something that looks like it was shot in your backyard in the 80s. That's what they expect. And generally speaking, that is the vast majority of fan films. Not all fan films, but the vast majority of them. And so it's difficult to see. Thank goodness we have It's Me, Billy Chapter 1 that has been out there now, so people kind of know what to expect from us, which is great. But it's still Black Christmas and it's still very niche. And that's another thing. So we have fan film, we have the label to, compete, to deal with. And we have the fact that Black Christmas is very niche. And it's really only, it really only gets talked about, written about, and buzzed about around the holidays. Do you know what I mean? Like it doesn't really get talked about anywhere else. At any other time of year. Whereas Friday the 13th, Terrifier, Halloween, Elm Street, I mean, they get talked about every day, all day. It doesn't matter if it's summer, spring, fall, winter, they're always talked about. And so we get it. We totally understand it. Totally get it. It's when Damien Leone made that tweet where he said that they were moving it to October 11th, I was like, oh, fuck, are you serious? Oh, man. I was like, damn, we're going to just get steamrolled. You know what I mean? Our film's not, in theaters or anything like that. So I don't mean it like in that sense. I just mean in terms of like buzz. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, fuck, we're going to get our asses handed to us. Because everybody's just Terrifier. And not my kind of horror like you, Davey. I respect the hustle. I know a few of the guys that work on the films. I respect it. And I've seen both movies. And I wish them the best of luck. And I sincerely mean that. A rising tide raises all ships. I wish them the best of luck. I think it's awesome that they're out there and they're making a name for themselves. And I think that's awesome. But it's not my kind of horror. So I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying. But we knew as soon as that news dropped, I thought, well, we can't move it. I mean, we can move it, but we want to stay on October 11th because it literally is to the day, the 50th anniversary of the original Black Christmas and the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So that's why I'm so you'll probably see on Friday, October 11th, Bloody Disgusting, all the horror kind of sites, you'll probably see a lot of people talk about it being the 50th anniversary of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which it is. But because Black Christmas was released by Warner Brothers when it came from Canada to the US in December, that's when you'll probably see articles about it being the 50th anniversary release, when technically that's just the US release. The first time it ever played for any audience was on Friday, October 11th in Toronto. And so that's why we're like, no, we're Canadian. It's Canadian. We're from Toronto. It was shot in Toronto. We're making a tribute film. We have, we have to stick to October 11th. We have to, you know what I mean? We have to. So, So we said, nah, fuck it. We'll just ride the wave and deal with it. And, but hopefully, people will, like I said, there's no reason why you can't watch both. Like, why can't you watch both? And ours is free. So like, you don't have to pay for ours. So yeah, there's no reason why, people can't watch both. So, but the buzz will definitely, will probably be overshadowed by that damn mime, that damn Art the Clown. But yeah, no, we encourage everybody. We encourage everybody to watch it and, of course, support us. And we need a lot of help. Even if Terrifier 3 was not releasing on that day, because it's Black Christmas and it's niche, we need everybody to share. When the trailer drops next month, share. Even the teaser right now, the teaser only has about 7,000 views. Let's get that up. Share it. Hey, have you seen this? What do you think of this? Hey, Bob, you're a Black Christmas fan, right? Yeah, I'm a Black Christmas fan. Have you seen this? No, I haven't seen this. What's this? There's still a lot of people out there that don't know about it. So, just the more buzz we can create, the better. I am going to release a press release for the trailer next month. Hopefully somebody will pick it up. They have picked us up before in the past, so hopefully we'll get picked up again. But yeah, we just, we're going to do the best we can. We're the little guy on the block. We don't have Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, or Freddy Krueger to help us. So we're the little guy on the block, despite the fact that, we're pretty legit, So I get it, man. And thank you for your support, Davey. I really appreciate it. Member chat from Sean Sheridan, been a member for 11 months. Thank you, Sean. Says, can't wait for It's Me, Billy 2. Kind of says something a fan film is light years better than 2 studio budget remakes, both cheap cash grabs using the name of a legendary horror movie. Yeah, I appreciate you saying that, Sean. That is one of the positive feedbacks we got on chapter 1 was this is light years better than the 2006 movie and the 2019 debacle. Now, I think the 2006 movie, in retrospect, has had people look at it more favorably because of the 2019 movie. That's usually how it goes. Like, all you Star Wars fans that think the sequel trilogy is a disaster, and I'm not saying you're not right to think that, but all it's going to take is Star Wars is for there's something to be worse. That's all it's going to take, because the sequel trilogy made people look at the prequel trilogy more favorably, because up until the sequel trilogy, that prequel trilogy was not everybody, but I'm speaking generally, it was loathed. Now people are looking at it more favorably. It's still loathed, but people look at it more favorably. All it's going to take is a Star Wars trilogy to come out that is just even worse, and people will look at the sequel trilogy going, it's not that bad. That's usually how it goes. So the 2006 Black Christmas movie, it was loathed. I mean, it had its fans, but again, generally speaking, it was a disaster, a total disaster. And then the 2019 film comes out and it's like, what the fuck is this? And so now people are looking at the 2006 film a little more favorably. But yeah, no, we did. We got a lot of compliments from people, saying that we really enjoyed your film. And I think because of how professional it was and how much hard work we put into it, that only helped it, make it feel like the real thing. And so there was this aura, of authenticity and credibility to it. And that was by design. I mean, that was, we were dead serious. I said that from the very beginning 5 years ago, what we were going to do, and we followed through on it. And it's the same with chapter 2. It's by design. We're not just doing this because we're not getting paid to do this. And so we want to have careers making movies, and we want to showcase what we can do. And you can't showcase what you can do making, fucking movies on a camcorder. I mean, you gotta go all in. So, but yeah, we had people say that, which was a really nice compliment. And I think chapter 2 will only enrich your experience of chapter 1, because there were some people that didn't like the cliffhanger ending. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Why is the grandma in the basement? How's she in the basement? Didn't they have a funeral? What's going on? You're just going to end it there? Doesn't make it. Well, I think when you watch chapter 2, it will likely enrich your experience, and you'll appreciate, for those of you that maybe didn't quite enjoy the ending or maybe the movie at all, will probably enrich your experience of chapter 1. But yeah, no, it's we're very proud of it. We're proud of what we've been able to do. I know, listen, guys, I know it's not everybody's cup of tea. I know that. If I was talking Halloween right now, there'd be 200 people in the room. I totally get it. But if you're watching live or if you're watching after the fact, if you donated or even if you didn't, if you watch the movie, I appreciate you watching. I really do. It's not going to be for everybody, right? I mean, that's making movies. That's film. Film is, film is subjective. I don't particularly, I get what people mean when they say that. Whether you like a movie or not is subjective, yes. Whether the movie works for you or not is totally subjective, yes. Film as a medium isn't necessarily subjective because what do you mean by that? Like, I mean, there's technical aspects that are not subjective. And anyway, but yeah, listen, I appreciate you watching. I appreciate your support. We appreciate your patience through this because this was a personal project that we wanted to do. We wanted to do it because we were Canadian. We wanted to do it for Black Christmas. Whether you like Black Christmas or not, whether you've seen the original Black Christmas or not, it is one of the most important horror movies in the history of cinema. Halloween gets all the praise. Texas Chainsaw gets... Black Christmas is right there. Black Christmas is and Texas Chainsaw were released the same day. Of course, Texas Chainsaw in the US, Black Christmas in Canada. Black Christmas it didn't get the buzz. It didn't spawn a franchise. And because it didn't spawn a franchise and never spawned a sequel, except for us, it largely didn't embed itself into the horror pop culture zeitgeist. It didn't do that. So it's become kind of an afterthought, unfortunately. But horror cinephiles or people who are really dialed in, they know what that means to the horror genre. They know that. If you didn't have Black Christmas, you may not have gotten Halloween. If you didn't have Black Christmas, you may not have gotten When a Stranger Calls. It's a very important film, And that doesn't mean you have to like it. I'm not saying you have to like it. I'm just saying that it is important. There's lots of movies that I am like, but I respect and appreciate and completely understand its pop culture significance. 100%. And so, and we were like, wow, and this is Canadian. How cool is that for us Canadians? And it's like, let's do something for Black Christmas. And, let's not go for the low-hanging fruit, Halloween, Freddy. Everybody's doing that. Everybody and their fucking dog is doing that. Let's do something that is more personal, that's more symbolic for us. Let's do Black Christmas. And let's see if we can get people to appreciate it more and turn people on to the original. And there have been some people that have said, dude, I hadn't even seen the original. I watched a movie and I was like, I gotta fucking go watch this original. They went and watched the original. I was like, this is fucking great. You know what I'm saying? So that's really cool too. But yeah, so there's a lot of different branches of why we were doing this. We were doing it because we wanted to showcase what we could do, utilize our connections, having worked in the business for a long time. And we had just turned 40 that year, 5 years ago. So it's like, if we're going to there are people making Hollywood films right now that are like 27. I mean, if we really want to make a go at this and see if we have any sort of, career, hey, we're 40, 5 years ago. We really got to do something, but we didn't want to bite off more than we could chew. So we chose to do something like this, which I think has worked out well. And it's gotten a lot of eyeballs on it. And we've heard from certain people. And hopefully chapter 2 will only help to raise that bar further. We'll see what happens, but we appreciate all your support and we do understand that it's not for everybody. But we appreciate your support and your belief in us, because it's been very important to us to see what we can do. So, and to all the Black Christmas and horror fans out there who are excited about it and who are totally on board, I think you're going to be happy. All right. Now, I don't think I've got any super chats today. I just want to make sure I haven't missed any, right? It's just been the member chats. Just want to miss any. It's just been member chats as far as I can see. Okay, good. So the Sean Sheridan, then we got Flet Flet's Movie and Pop Culture 13 says, hey Dave, hope you're having an amazing Sunday. Cannot wait for It's Me Billy 2. Proud to have made a contribution to the film, and cheers to 5 months. Cheers to 5 months, Flet. Thank you for being a member. Really appreciate it. Hope you're doing well, by the way. Yeah, I'm glad you're excited. Brandon Collins has been a member for 8 months and sends in a member chat. Great to see you here, Brandon, and says, I'm so happy that I chose the Be My Guest perk when I donated. When I come on, it's going to be a glitter watch along. Mariah Carey will be honored. Glitter, maybe Geely, whatever, we can watch that. Jersey Girl, Made in Manhattan. You know what, Brandon? Maybe we'll just have that's, of course, I'm talking about Lopez, not Mariah Carey, but maybe we'll have a Mariah Carey and a Jennifer Lopez marathon. Who knows? You never know. You never know, folks. You never know. Could you imagine? Oh my God. I have to be on some sort of, I may have to be on Thorazine for it. Josh McKenna sends in a very generous super chat of $19.99. Thank you, Josh. And said, I saw a troll got mad at you because you post BTS photos of It's Me, Billy. They said you were milking. I know the post you're talking about. They said you were milking the production with BTS photos. I love the BTS photos, updates, and promotions. Ignore the trolls. They probably didn't buy a Blu-ray. Oh, there's no way they bought a Blu-ray. No, of course. No, look, this stuff doesn't bother me. They think it bothers me. They would like it to bother me, but it doesn't bother me. I'm 45 years old. I grew up when people said that kind of shit to your face, and you would punch. This is the generation that people say shit and there's no repercussions for it. I grew up through the 80s and 90s where if you said something like that to somebody, you just get punched in the face. And I'd be like, yeah, you get punched in the face. Now that, it's easy for them to act that way. Now, listen, that's not me saying that this person has to be excited about It's Me. They don't have to be excited about It's Me, Billy. You like what you like. You don't like what you don't like. But the passive-aggressive, condescending, pretentious tone that sometimes will come in like, why are you doing this? So why are you milking this? Why the fuck do you think we're doing it? Because it's my fucking channel. It's my movie. Of course I'm going to market it. Why wouldn't I be if you don't like it, I don't care. You're not paying to be here. Well, some of you are, but this guy isn't. I'll tell you that. I don't care. I don't care at all. So I just said to him, well, it's a good thing I couldn't care less. And he's like, well, you commented, so that means you care. No. Commenting back doesn't mean someone cares. It just means that they replied back to you. Maybe they're giving you a shot. Maybe they're educating you on something. I don't care whether you like me or the movie or whether you watch the movie or not. I could not care less. I hope you do. I hope you like what we're doing here. But at the end of the day, I could not care less. So, and then there were a couple other people that chimed in and came to my defense. But of course we're going to milk it. I think his argument was, if I'm remembering correctly, I think his argument was, it's stupid to milk all this hype for a movie that's probably going to be less than 30 minutes. And I'm like, so if a movie is less than 30 minutes, that means you can't promote the movie and generate hype? It doesn't make any sense. Like, I can intellectualize what he's saying. He's basically saying that, well, it's not a big deal. It's a short film. It's probably going to be less than 30 minutes. Who cares? Why are you hyping this up? Who cares? Why are you hyping this up? Well, for the record, it's longer than 30 minutes. It's a little longer than the first movie. But that being said, why wouldn't I? If I'm not going to do it, who's going to do it? You? Of course we're going to do it. These are comments from trolls and from people who have low IQs and from people who have miserable lives and people who, they're just angry and they're miserable. And instead of being supportive or instead of just not commenting at all, they need to comment because it makes them feel better. They feel like when they comment on somebody, if they're watching somebody they don't like or they want to give a shot or something, when they make a comment, it makes them feel like they've accomplished something. There's a psychological effect that they've given me a rib or a shot. And then when I comment back, if I choose to do so and educate them or just say, well, it's a good thing I don't care, they use the old sort of cliche like, oh, well, see, you commented back, so you cared. Like I said, No, it's all in what is being commented back. If I commented back and started having an argument with you back and forth, yes, then I would care. But I didn't do that. I just said, well, it's a good thing I couldn't care less what you think. You know what I mean? And then there's the old thing, well, but if you truly don't care, you wouldn't say anything. Sure. Okay, sure. Yeah. If that's your bar, if that's your litmus test, fine. But at the end of the day, I'm too old. I've been doing this too long to care what people think of me. You cannot jump on YouTube and care. I know there's people that don't like me. There's entire Reddit threads about people that don't like me. I could not care less. If you don't like me, that's fine. But I know you watch me. Well, some people don't. Some people probably don't. But there's a lot of people that just hate watch me. They can't take it. They gotta watch that Dave McRae. And then they use the excuse, well, you know, I like his Halloween stuff. It's like, shut up. And then I love the people that, you know, they'll say something and then you'll call them out and they'll go, oh, I'm just joking, man. I'm just joking, bruh. It's like, shut the fuck up. You're not just joking. You're being serious. I called you out on it. And now you feel like a dick and your ego's been bruised and you feel kind of like, you know, all self-conscious because I fucking, you know, schooled your ass. And now you're just like, it's just a joke, bruh. Just a joke. No, it's not a joke. It's not a joke. I should invite some of these people on this show. I wonder if anybody would come on. I should have like a National Troll Appreciation Day where I invite somebody to come on and debate me right here on the channel and see if they do it. They would never do it. They would never do it. Because they're cowards, because trolls are cowards, right? They hide behind the screen. That's why I'm just like, it's very, the whole kind of leaving comments to try and get you fired up is, again, I'm 45. If I was like Gen Y or Z or whatever it is, if I was 22 and I grew up through the digital age and I grew up through a very different era, then maybe it would bother me. Like maybe, because it bothers a lot of people, you know what I mean? Maybe it would. Maybe I'd really get upset or I'd be like, oh my God, they don't like me or they don't understand or what's going on. But I was a teenager in the fucking early 90s, man. Like this shit, this is whatever. Okay. Like, okay. And now I'll go off and do, you know, I'll go on with my day, right? You know what I mean? I don't care. They can do what they want. But yeah, the crux of what they talked about in terms of it being silly to milk the marketing of a movie and hype up a movie that's my movie because they think it's going to be less than 30 minutes. Not a very bright individual there. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate that. Brandon Collins sends in $5. Thanks, Brandon. Says, we needed this stream today, Dave. Between all the deaths of film and TV icons and unnecessary violence, the stream gives us all a break. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Oh, it's been crazy, man. And my apologies. I haven't done a stream in about 10 days. But that's just simply because we were really into sort of, you know, crunch time on the picture with Billy. And, but yeah, excuse me, Shelley Duvall, Richard Simmons, Shannon Doherty, and even Benji Gregory, who was little Brian Tanner on Alf in the 80s. He was found dead in his car back in June, but they just made the announcement a couple of days ago. He was found dead in his car with his service dog, apparently heat stroke or something. He's gone too. The Benji one, probably not a lot of people know about because it wasn't like, you know, all over the news. But there's 4 right there. And then of course, yeah, the shooting at the Donald Trump thing yesterday, that's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Yeah, like, I mean, you know, I feel really bad for Shelley Duvall. She had a really, really tough life, You know what's interesting? Speaking of her, you know how so in the Guinness Book of World Records, that scene on the stairs in The Shining when she's got the bat and she's like, get away from me, is in the Guinness Book of World Records as the most takes for any movie at like 127. And apparently that's not true. There is somebody that has done I forget his name. It was in a Variety article or something I was reading, and I was going to do a show on it and talk about it because I like this kind of stuff. And apparently that's not true. This individual got basically the shot list from The Shining, and got all of tons of he was doing a bunch of research on it for something. It might have been a filmmaker actually. I think it was a well-known filmmaker. Anyway, I got to get the article. You can look it up. And the most takes in that movie, I don't even think was that scene. But the most takes in that movie was 66, not 127, according to this article. And the abuse that Shelley Duvall supposedly experienced on set is nowhere near, even according to Shelley, is nowhere near what legend has made it out to be. I think what's happened, listen, Stanley Kubrick, one of the greatest filmmakers of all time, no doubt about it. And he was very meticulous. That is true. And he did do a lot of takes. That is true. He also did a lot of rehearsal takes, which shouldn't be included in the actual takes when you're rolling. So if you're including rehearsal and the takes when you're rolling, well, yeah, that could probably add up to a lot. But he was very meticulous, apparently, according to this guy, it was heavily exaggerated. It's not that he wasn't meticulous, not that there weren't a lot of takes, but apparently there is some lure to The Shining, especially, and Stanley Kubrick's behavior and what he would get Shelley Duvall to do and Jack Nicholson to do, and the cheese sandwiches thing. Apparently, Jack Nicholson didn't like cheese sandwiches, so he fed him nothing but cheese sandwiches for a week or whatever. Apparently, there's a lot of exaggeration. And, in the 80s and in the 90s, when these stories were being created and passed around in telephone, it was easier to do that because there was no internet. Not that the internet doesn't have, fake news. It does, but it was just, you couldn't fact check as easily. And so apparently, according to this guy, and it was totally a legit article, the Guinness Book of World Records, it is wrong. No take on The Shining was 127 takes. That take was certainly not 127 takes. And but the longest, according to the shot list or whatever, or the script supervisor would have written all this down, it would have been 60. It was 66, I think. 66. Something like that. I might do a show on it because I like setting the record straight for something like that because it's so in the pop culture. It's in the Guinness Book of World Records, for God's sakes. It's so in the pop culture, and I think setting that straight might be a good thing to do. I don't know, but yeah, it's been a crazy time, man. It's been a crazy time. A lot of crazy shit going down. We all just have to chill out. I don't care. And I say this, I know, cause I've already seen the posts. I'm pretty neutral when it comes to, if I'm being totally honest, I don't talk politics here on the channel. But I have mentioned this before. So that's why I don't mind mentioning it again. I am neither this is not a cop out. This is truly how I've always been in my life. I don't know why, nature versus nurture. Don't know how this happened, but I've kind of always been this way. I'm pretty down the middle when it comes to politics. So what I mean by that is I probably lean a little more right of center. That's probably true when I think about certain things. But here in Canada, I've voted left, I've voted right. To me, a good idea is a good idea and a bad idea is a bad idea. And I'm not about teams. I'm not about colors. I don't buy into that shit. I don't care about that nonsense. It's just garbage. It's just absolute garbage. I don't care about that. So, but I do know that there probably were and probably are a lot of people that are like, oh, the sniper missed him. Too bad. Or not the sniper, but the guy that was taking the shots. Oh, that's too bad. They probably would have been thrilled if Donald Trump was assassinated. 100%. You would have had those people. But out of principle alone, that shit, it doesn't matter who, man. It doesn't matter who, and these comparisons to Hitler and all this kind of stuff, I just can't get on board with that. I can't, it's just, the extremes are just wild. But that being said, that's where I'm going to stop. I don't want to turn this into politics. I don't want the chat room to become all about politics. I'm just going to say that and just say that I truly believe that no matter what aisle or what side you fall on, whether it's left or right, I think it's important that kind of shit doesn't happen. Right? I mean, that's just like that it's like, that's fucking crazy, man. It's crazy shit. Because, it hasn't just happened on the right. Reagan was shot at, but Kennedy was also killed, and he was a Democrat. It's happened on both, and we can't have that. You know what I mean? I'm trying to think if there was any assassination attempts here in Canada for our prime ministers. I don't know. Oh, well, there was... I know there was back in the 90s when Jean Chrétien, French politician, when he was our prime minister, somebody like broke into the grounds of the prime minister's residence or something, and he had a knife or something, and there was that. I do remember that. He was apprehended, but I do remember that. But anyway, so no matter, it's crazy. Like no matter where you fall, you just can't, you can't have that. Like there has to be, like based on principle alone, you have to, like, you can't, you just can't. It's crazy, man. Crazy stuff. Brandon, there he is. Yes, the 66 take shot was Scatman walking across the lobby at the end. Yes. Thank you. Yes, so you're informed. No surprise, Brandon. You are usually quite informed. But yes. So, I don't like that because the average person doesn't, we're talking about The Shining now again. The average person doesn't dial in, right? And I get it. It's because of the kind of filmmaker that Kubrick was, it's not out of the realm of possibility that he would do a lot of takes. And he did do a lot of takes. And he was meticulous, right? But it's been exaggerated for his aura, his mystique, right? You know what I mean? And for the film and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, no, apparently that they did not shoot that scene on the stairs 127 times. And Shelley Duvall, I think, has even said, we didn't shoot that 127 times. And so it's kind of like, why this is in the Guinness Book of World Records? I don't know. But yes, that's right. That scene across the lobby, I think it was a tracking shot, right? Was it a tracking shot? I can't remember. Anyway, that according to the shot list or to the script supervisor's notes, whatever they had, he had something. That was the most takes in The Shining, and that was 66. So like nowhere near 127 takes. Nowhere near. So, but hey, makes a great story, doesn't it? Makes a great story. Josh McKenna sends in $9.99. Thanks, Josh. Says, I know you're a big fan of Alf. Did you hear about Benji Gregory? Yes, I was just talking about that. Yeah, really sad. He was only 46. He was a year older than me. He was born in 78. And I saw that. I still watch Alf now. Like there's on the Shout, what is it? On Shout Studios YouTube page, they have a constant stream, a live show, like a constant live stream of Alf, and they're playing all the episodes, and it's been on loop for like the last 4 or 5 months that I've seen, and they have it in different languages: Spanish, French, German, and of course English. And sometimes when I'm working away or I'm doing something, I'm doing the dishes or whatever, I'll have it on in the background, and I still watch it to this day. I'm a big fan of Alf. And so this news, because I've been watching the shows fairly recently, this news, I was like, oh, no way. Now, he did suffer from depression and apparently bipolar. He was bipolar. And apparently he died of heat exhaustion, and he had trouble sleeping. So apparently they think that he fell asleep in his car and just died because of the heat. I don't know, man. Like I'm not saying there's anything nefarious that happened. Nothing's come out. That apparently is the official report according to the autopsy. But I'm just like, and apparently his dog was dead too. And he lived in Phoenix. So in June in Phoenix, yeah, like I totally believe it. But how do you get into the car and not roll down a window? And like, how do you get to that point? Like, I know it's hot out, and yeah, with the window up and the car off in the car, yeah, I mean, yes, of course, we all would die. But how are you, like, was there any drugs? Was there any, like, how did you fall asleep and not, I don't know. It's crazy, but apparently that's what happened to him. And Really sad. Like very young, 46. Like I said, just a year older than me. So I noticed that the stream at the moment, because I have it up right here in one of my tabs. At the moment, they've called it the Benji Gregory Tribute Stream, 1978 to 2024, Alf Marathon. I'm sure they'll probably just change that back to Alf Marathon and, maybe after the weekend or something. I'm not sure. But yeah, very sad, very sad. Rest in peace. So yeah, Shelley Duvall. I mean, I know he's not an A-list, a name per se, but nonetheless, Shelley Duvall, Shannon Doherty, that was sad. I heard about that this morning. That's really sad. Shelley Duvall, Shannon Doherty, Richard Simmons, and Benji Gregory, all within the last week. I mean, that's pretty crazy. Obviously, some more high profile than others, but Richard Simmons, that was sad. He had been really a recluse the last 10 to 15 years or so. Very sad, Yeah, just sad. And Shannon Doherty too. I mean, young too. She was only 53, 54. Young and very sad. But she lived, I mean, she was first diagnosed, I believe, in 2015. So she made it almost 10 years. I don't know how good that is or not, but if anything, it should just be a sign for us all, to get checked. I mean, listen, full disclosure, man, I've been checked, the male version. I've been checked, as you hit your 40s, man, now I had, I just think it's important. We all should. So if you're a woman, a woman of any age, of course, but especially if you're over 40, make sure you go for your mammogram, make sure you do, you learn how to self-check, all that kind of stuff. Cause she was diagnosed with breast cancer, and breast cancer is such a killer for women. I think it's the number one killing cancer for women, if I'm not mistaken. For men, I don't know what it is for men. Maybe colon? No, maybe it's pancreatic cancer for men. I'm not sure, but get checked. If you're over 40, get checked. Get checked, man. I have no issues with that kind of stuff. Like I know when I hit 50, I'm going to have a colonoscopy, and I'm like, yep, let's do it. I'm like, let's do it. Like my dad died of a heart attack when he was 69. My mom died of cancer when she was 67. My mom's mom, my grandmother, died of cancer when she was 58. So I've had a few people in my family die fairly young. Now I've also had people in my family live into their 90s. So I mean, I don't know. It's a crapshoot for me. I have no idea. I'm hoping the 90 side, but who knows? But I'm okay with that kind of stuff. Like I'm not like, oh, colonoscopy. Oh, I got to stick something in my ass. And yeah. Well, do you want to die or do you want to that's what we got to do. That's just how we do it. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. I don't fucking care. Like, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like it's like, there's no ego. There's no shame. Like we all should be doing it. You know what I mean? So yeah, whatever. Just not together. Just separately. Yeah. Okay. 100%. Brandon says, I'm a moderate as well, who leans slightly to the left on most things. We need to get all the vocal extremists on both sides under control because the majority of us are middle of the, well, that's just it. Like, and admittedly, I'm not heavily involved. I don't heavily, like it's always on the peripheral. But I've just always been like, yeah, that's a great idea. Or that's a shitty idea. Like, it's not I know there are things that are more right ideas or more, I get that. And I do probably lean a little more right on some things, but I'm for the legalization of marijuana. Totally. And it is legal here. And that's not a right thing, and I don't smoke marijuana, but I was for the decriminalization of it. Now I know in some states it is. In Canada, it's across the country. I don't smoke marijuana. I've never smoked marijuana. Full truth. I don't have anything against it. When I was younger, I was an athlete. So I played hockey. I was running. I worked out, did weights. I was fit. It was always kind of like a mindset thing for me, right? It's why I hardly drink. And I've never smoked either. So I don't have anything against people who like to, have a joint. I don't care. Smoke. I've been in the room with people who've done it. I probably was high and probably didn't know it, but I've always been for at the very least, the decriminalization of it, because I'm like, come on, man. Like, we got murderers on the streets and we're spending all this time and all this money and locking people up for 10 years because of dope. Like, seriously? You know what I mean? So I was always for, at the very least, the decriminalization of it. That's me. But then Canada went ahead and been like, no, we're just going to make it legal. I'm like, yeah, it's fine by me. You know, I don't smoke it, but I'm like, yeah, it's fine. Like, I get it. Like, I get the common sense of it. Do you know what I mean? You know, but then again, if I was like a right extremist, I'd be like, no, fuck no, you know, and I, you know, it's, and there's other things too. I don't want to turn this into a thing because it could get hot, but there's other things that I lean a little more left on than right as well. But I think overall I lean a little more right. But I'm down the middle, man. Like I don't care, blue, red, green. I don't give a fuck, man. Like, just tell me something that makes sense. You know what I mean? That's how. But because it's so tribal, it's like sports. Do you know what I mean? It's so tribal. I'm just like, I'm out. Like, I'm like Shark Tank. I'm like, and I'm out. I'm like, I can't deal with that, man. I can't do. It's just I can't deal with the nonsense of it all. But that's me. Josh Lott. Hey, what's going on, Josh? One of our great supporters on It's Me Billy Chapter 2 sends in $10. Says, hey, Dave, I'm looking forward to a Gaylord full of stuff in front of my house. And of course, to the movie. I'll take It's Me Billy Chapter 2 over Terrifier any day. Also, Long Legs is great. Yes, I want to see Long Legs. I haven't seen it yet. I want to see it. I plan on seeing it very soon. I'm going to go and watch it. I'm excited to see it. And then I will probably do a video on it. Not a review, but just give my thoughts in my Dave McRae sort of way. Because I am excited to see it for sure. And yeah, you're excited. Yeah. Hey, well, watch both, right? Why not watch both? But I'm just saying, ours is free. Just saying, in the comfort of your own home. But no. Yeah. That's awesome, man. And yes, you're going to be getting a lot of shit. Again, we appreciate everybody's patience. It's a process, right? It's a process. Obviously, we can't send out the Blu-rays until, the movie is released. And I still have, like, for those of you that ordered I still have these. Here you go. Look at this. Look at this. For those of you that ordered the Lynn Griffin Christmas ball. Oh, you know what? I just noticed that my camera's focus. It's no point in probably fixing it now, but let me do it. My camera was on autofocus. God damn it. I hate when that happens. I wish it would just stay off. Okay, let's take it off. There we go. Now it's off. But yeah, Lynn Griffin. There they are. The whole box is down here. So be prepared to be getting these later this year. Woo! Very cool stuff. Very cool stuff. You want to see something that Lynn made? So at on our last day of shooting, so we wrapped obviously the house portion of the shoot, which was in November. And then in January, for those of you that have been following, in January, we had a pickup day at Digital Canaries Studios here. And that was for all the interiors of a police station. And so at the very end, Lynn gave myself and Bruce, she made this, which was really cute. She made us a little snow globe like this. So we have Victoria there, It's Me Billy Chapter 2, and we have Lynn on the back. Very cool stuff. Shout out to Lynn. So very cool. It was very cute. Very nice. And she also gave us a cereal bowl, and on the bowl it says serial killer, but cereal with, like how you spell it, with, the cereal you eat. And that was really cool too. And we gave something to her too. We gave her a nice bouquet of flowers and whatnot. And it was really cool. A really nice sort of little kind of, because it was her last day and it was everybody's last day, but yeah, that was really cool. But yeah, those snow globes, and Christmas ornaments are here. They're here. We're just, again, now going to be turning our efforts to finally getting them out later this year. And yeah, Josh, you're going to be getting a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. Cody Snyder has been a member for 11 months, sends in a member chat and says, Shannon Doherty, I feel honored to have met her. Oh, that's really cool, man. One of the ultimate 90s babes. That is true. She was pretty cute. I've been listening to episodes of her podcast today. Let's Be Clear with Shannon Doherty. Rest in peace. Absolutely, man. Yeah, it's been a tough week for a lot of people. Like I said, Shelley Duvall, Shannon Doherty, Richard Simmons, Benji Gregory. I know that might seem funny because he was a child star and hasn't acted in 30 years, but he was on an iconic 80s sitcom. So it sucks, man. It sucks. Jordan Ellis, been a member for 11 months, sends in a member chat. Thank you, Jordan, and says, I actually just walked out of Long Legs, and it's a very unsettling film, in my opinion. Everyone delivers an amazing performance, most notably Nicolas Cage. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Jordan. And what's really cool, too, is one of the things I've been hearing is that it is dripping with mood and atmosphere. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Like, I'm telling you right now, again, I haven't seen it yet, but by the trailers and the marketing I've seen, that's exactly like how I would shoot a movie. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, you know, it depends on what the narrative is, of course, but I just mean like in terms of the feeling, like that's like that's why It's Me Billy Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. We haven't seen Chapter 2 yet, but why there's that, again, a different type of film, but there's a pensive quality to it. There's a mood, there's a feeling, that slow burn, the way it's shot, you know, the lens choices they use, the way it's color graded, you know, where they place the camera, how long they linger on a shot, camera movement, all that. Like that's when I watch that trailer, I'm like, yes, yeah, that gets me excited. Tarot, no, I don't care about that. Slender Man, maybe if I was 17, sure. But this, I'm like, this is where I'm at this stage in my life. That doesn't mean the movie's going to be good. I don't know yet. I haven't watched it. But that's like, do you know where, you know, I sometimes say that, like most horror movies that I watch the trailers for, I don't go see them in the theaters. I'm just like, meh, it really doesn't do much, you know? But Long Legs, I was like, okay. And of course it did that for everybody, right? Everybody's going to see Long Legs because, yeah, that doesn't mean you're going to like it. And I have heard some people say that it's overhyped. Well, that's subjective. We'll see how that is. I guess if you're in the movie space and you're doing, I guess if it's your job to review trailers and do trailer reactions and review movies, you're so dialed in and you're so connected that you can lose yourself in the hype for, you know, a movie. But if you're like me, who doesn't do trailer reactions and doesn't do reviews, but is still relatively dialed in, my expectations are pretty in check. So I have a feeling that I'm going to like the movie. And I'm going to really appreciate the mood and the atmosphere and be like, oh yeah, right out of the Dave McRae playbook, baby. Fucking love that shit. I love that shit. Just absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Bum. Let me see here. Sandy F says, Dave, you might be too young to remember, but the blizzard of 77, well, I wasn't born until 79, so would be an awesome movie too. I was in grade 9 and got stranded on First Avenue in Welland for 3 days. Are you a Canuck? Are you a fellow Canuck? Are you from Welland? Do you live in Welland? Welland is where I went to college. I went to Niagara College in Welland back in the late 90s. And that's really cool. Yeah, well, I mean, those types of, like, you know, weather movies, Locked In, that's 3 days on First Avenue. You were at somebody's home, right? You weren't like trapped in your car for 3 days, were you? Oh my God. Well, that area, for those of you that don't know, Welland is, you know, for all intents and purposes, think Niagara Falls. And so you're right between two Great Lakes, between Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. And so the weather, like the winters down there can be ridiculous because of the lake effect snow and all that. I mean, if you live in Buffalo, you know, Buffalo gets a shitload of snow. Now, we get a lot of snow up here too, but oh my God, the storms that rip through Buffalo and the Niagara region are just ridiculous. So that doesn't surprise me. But I'm glad you're okay. I'm glad you're alive. Do you have a t-shirt that says I survived the blizzard of 77? You should get one printed up. I survived the blizzard of 77. You should do that. Evil Alex says, your parents died even the same year. Yes, if I remember correctly, from cancer. This must have been really hard times. I came across a funeral video of your dad. Saw you there. Sorry for your loss. I can't even imagine. Yes, my dad died of a heart attack. My parents were not together. My parents divorced in the early 80s. They remained fairly close throughout the years because they had 4 children together, but they did go off and remarry other people. They were both divorced from those other people when they died. But my mother she died of cancer in July Actually, the anniversary for death is coming up in another 10 days or so. It'll be 10, 11, 12, 13 years. She died in July of 2011, and then my dad died in October of 2011, but he died of a heart attack. He collapsed in the Ottawa Sun newsroom. He was about to write a story. So the last time I saw my dad was at my mom's funeral. Now, it wasn't the last time I spoke to him. I spoke to him on the phone in probably September, but that was the last time that I saw him. So 2011 was there were some wonderful things that happened in 2011, but also some very difficult things that happened in 2011 as well. So, but yeah, they were both young. My dad was 69, my mom was 67. So, you gotta, I don't know, man. I hope I can live longer than that. We'll see. I'm at 45, I'd like to think I'm pretty healthy. I run probably about 25 kilometers a week, which is, I go out, I run about 3 days a week. And every time I go out, I run between, 7 and 9 kilometers. Sometimes I hit 10, but I'm usually in that 7 to 8 kilometer range. So, I try to eat well. I'm not overweight. Yeah. So I don't know. It's all I can do, right? I mean, that's all I can do. So we'll see. All right. What's the time here? 3:37. We'll go a little bit longer. And then we will call it a day. And then I'll just do a quick recap at the end of the show for those that are interested. Or just a recap at the end of the show, sort of what I talked about. Let me see here. Did I get all the super chats? I just want to make sure I've got them all. I believe I've got them all, but I want to make sure I have. I don't want to miss any. Member chat, Jordan Ellis, Cody Snyder, Josh Lott, Josh McKenna. Yes. It looks like I have. Okay. Good. Brandon Collins says, Dave, have you heard that the Toxic Avenger remake might not ever be released because no one wants to distribute it? I did hear something about that. Admittedly, I didn't dive into any sort of, I didn't read up on it. I didn't look further into it. I just kind of heard about, or saw like a blurb about it. Yeah, I'm not a huge Toxic Avenger fan, so I but it makes me wonder, how bad was it? And it also makes me, I hope this is not going to be a trend, that when something is, bad, studios just cancel it altogether. I hope that's not going to become a trend. Release it and make something back, if you can. Whenever I think of the Toxic Avenger, I think of the stage play, the play. When it came to Toronto, I did all the ads for it, all the television ads for it. It came to, because Toronto, for those of you that don't know, obviously it's a mecca for film and TV. It's the third largest in North America. But it also is, I believe, outside of Broadway and maybe London. Is it before London, or it's got to be after London? I'm not sure. But anyway, it's right up there too in terms of theater. And so anyway, this has got to be like 2009, 2010. I have the ads somewhere. I should dig them up. I did all the television spots for the Toxic Avenger when it was playing on stage, the theater show, when it was here in Toronto like 15 years ago. So whenever I think of Toxic Avenger, I'm aware of the movie and I'm familiar with it. But whenever I think of Toxic Avenger, I don't immediately think of the movie. I think of the stage play and the ads I did for it, which was really funny. But yeah, I mean, I don't have any skin in the game. Like I didn't watch the Toxic. I've actually never seen the movie. I'm familiar with it. I'm familiar with the character, but I don't have an emotional attachment to it. So I just hope, based on principle, that they don't start doing this, right? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. Like, for a movie to be an epic failure to the point where you just do not release it, something like a Marvel movie. I don't agree with the principle, but because there's so much, like the stakes when you're working at that level, something Marvel or DC, you somehow can intellectualize it. Like, it's probably, like, Batgirl's probably not. Now, I know there's some people that have said it's awful. Those who've seen it, I've, read the articles. Is it though? I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't know. But it has to be really bad because there's so many, like at that level in terms of the universes and Marvel and DC, and there's so much at stake. With Toxic Avenger? What's at stake with Toxic Avenger? Like, how bad? And if it is really bad, then that means the production was a clusterfuck. Because you cannot put a movie together in the editing room and have it be so disastrous that you do not want to release it. How do you get then the production, like I'm telling you, having made 2 movies, when you're making a movie, if it's a clusterfuck or not. Going into the editing room, you have to have a feeling. So it makes me wonder how incompetent was that set to the point where they now feel it's so bad that we're not even going to release it. It's not bad where it's like, this kind of really wasn't what we want. It's okay. You know what? Let's release it. Let's just do a good marketing campaign. Maybe we'll make a bit of money. No. It's not even that. It's dog shit. So bad that we're not even going to release it. Toxic Avenger. I'm like, it's a Toxic Avenger. There's no stakes here. I mean, there's always stakes and there's always financial. I'm not saying there's nothing. I just mean that, like, really? Really? Well, then that tells me that set had to have been a clusterfuck. They had to have been, I don't know, like going overtime. The narrative didn't make sense. Getting shots and how do you get there? How do you make a movie and walk away from the set going, oh, this is pretty good? And get into the editing room and going, we can't even release this. Like, folks, please understand, it's a spectrum, right? It's a sliding scale. How do you get to the point where you don't even release it? Every movie that is shot, okay, like I've always said, there's the movie you imagine or that you write, right? That's the same thing because you're imagining what you write. Or you're writing what you imagine, right? So there's the movie you imagine, right? Which is the movie you write. There's the movie you shoot, which can change a little bit depending on logistics and locations. And can we get that location I've always imagined on? Not quite. Can we get that actor that we want? Not really. Some things might change a little bit. And then there's the movie you release. Because sometimes the movie can continue to shape a little bit when you get it into the editing room, right? So there's the movie you imagine, the movie you shoot, the movie you release. And it isn't all, and I didn't come up with that, by the way. That's a common saying in the film industry. Because you ask any filmmaker, hey, the movie you imagined, is that the movie you released? They're going to be like, well, not exactly. I mean, because that's just the nature of the business, right? It's a scale. So how do you shoot something like you don't, like, because there's also, and unless they don't have the money, but there's also reshoots. Well, if something doesn't work and you have the money, or you can go to the production company or the studio or the producer and get a bit of money and explain, hey, you know what? Let's go back out. Let's get these reshoots. Let's get these pickups. It's going to help. Like, how do you go from 0 to 100? Like, so admittedly, I know nothing about the production. I know nothing about their budget. I know nothing of who's in it or who's directing it or who's producing it. I know nothing. So this is coming from just a general kind of thing. I'd have to dive a bit more into it to kind of see. And I'm talking about the Toxic Avenger here. The same principles could be applied to Batgirl, but Batgirl, there is way more at stake. Okay, there's way more at stake. But the same principles could apply. But folks, you don't go from 0 to 100. Okay. You don't shoot a movie and everything goes well on set and put that movie together and it's so bad that you don't release it. You're editing a bad movie is what I'm trying to say. Going into that you know, going into that editing room, that there is a very good chance that we're going to put together dog shit. Because you don't shoot a movie and think you've got everything you need and then put it together and it's so bad you don't release it. That's the extreme. That's the extreme. That's the end. There's many things in between, like reshoots, doing another edit, shifting things around. I'm not saying they haven't done all that. I'm just saying, right? Like, what? And if it's so bad that you're not going to release it, that tells me they had to have known that while they were on set. And they just, they had to have, or at least had a feeling that this is not working. You had to have had a feeling it wasn't working. That's crazy to me. It's crazy. It's crazy. All right, we'll go another 5 minutes, folks. Another 5 minutes. We'll take this to an hour and 45 minutes, and then we'll call it a day. Brandon Collins says, it's the Toxic Avenger. No one's expecting a masterpiece. Let's see this clusterfuck. That's my point, right? Like, it's the Toxic Avenger. No, we're not going to release it. What? No, listen, full disclosure. Did we get everything we imagined and wanted on It's Me Billy Chapter 2? No. It's Me Billy Chapter 2 was a much more difficult production. We went from a non-union shoot to a union shoot. So we're dealing with the unions. We're dealing with just the logistics of all that entails. We had a first AD this time, which was great. We needed a first AD to, take care of call sheets and dealing with the union and keeping us on track. And because Chapter 2 is the rest of the second act and the third act, we're ramping it up now, right? We're ramping up. So it's more intense. We had a stunt coordinator on set. There's more physical acting. So there's it was a more intense shoot. So did we get everything no, of course not. No, we didn't get everything we wanted, but we didn't walk away going, oh God, we walked away going, I wonder if we're going to have to get a pickup for that. Or I wonder if that's going to, that scene, we might need to get a couple inserts for that because we didn't have time to get them while we were on set. So maybe that's something we do next year or whatever the case is. Like there's that kind, and that's normal for any movie, right? But to the point where you put it together and you just think it's garbage, you have to know you're shooting garbage. Like to go from 0 to 100, because there's come on. It's crazy. Evil Alex says it's like 8 Sharknado films. There's always a way to release a clusterfuck and get some money back. Very strange. Well, it's true. The Sharknado films lean heavily into the satirical, right? So I don't know if the Toxic Avenger is supposed to be like leaning into the satirical. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, it's crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Bobby Hall says, Dave, could there be a point when you would stop watching new Halloween content? Like, if there was a 10 episode series and the first few episodes sucked, would you continue watching or just stop? If there was it depends what it was. If there was a 10 episode Halloween series and it was bad, yes, I would stop. I don't watch things just because I'm a fan. I want it to be good. And because I'm not a movie reviewer and there's no expectations that I'm going to be reviewing each episode, I don't have to watch what I don't have to watch. And so, I will always because I'm a diehard Halloween fan, I will always watch and pay for movies. I will always, because how am I going to know if I like it if I don't first set out to figure that out? But if I get like 3 episodes in and it's really bad, like boring and really bad, it has to be really bad. I have no issues turning it off. Just because it has the Halloween name on it doesn't mean I have to fucking sit there and struggle through it. No, not at all. Not at all. I have no issues. Like I'm the kind of Halloween fan that I will always, get excited when a show drops or there's a new movie coming out. Of course, because I'm a Halloween fan. But if they never made another Halloween show or movie ever again, I would be okay. Is what I've always said, right? Like I would be okay. Of course I'm going to be there. As soon as there's another movie, I'll be in line. I'll be talking about it here on the channel. We'll begin the hype train again. Of course. But if they never made another Michael Myers Halloween movie or TV show, I wouldn't care. At least that's how I feel now, because I feel like the character's been exhausted. I feel like I don't know what else you do with him other than just the same thing over again. And I'm happy with the movies we have. We have the good movies, the bad movies, the ugly movies, the in-between movies. We have so many movies and so many different versions and great soundtracks, and I'm okay living in that for the rest of my life. I'm cool, but of course I'll get excited. Of course, right? Of course. But yeah, no, I'd have no issues just kind of being like, well, I gave it a shot. I'm out. For sure. No problem there. All right, folks, listen, that is going to do it for me here on episode 270 of McRae Live. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. I really appreciate it. For those of you watching live or after the fact, well, if you're watching after the fact, you already know this if you've watched the whole thing. But just to recap, so the picture lock on It's Me, Billy Chapter 2 is complete. It's heading over to color grading next week. The trailer is also complete. It's heading for color grading as well. The trailer will drop next month, and we will announce when the official trailer for It's Me, Billy Chapter 2 will drop on Tuesday, so please look out for that. We are turning our attention to perks starting next month, which is great, so please look out for that as well. So very excited about it. We're still on target for Friday, October 11th for our release date, and yeah, that trailer, well, you'll know when it's going to drop next or this coming Tuesday. So I really appreciate you tuning in as well, and yeah, we're very excited to finally get this movie out there and get people talking about it and spreading the word. We've worked very hard on it, and I think what we've done is pretty cool, and if I do say so myself, and we're excited for you guys to see how it all ends. So thank you, of course, to my moderators. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. Thank you to the super chat questions that came in today, those non-super chat ones as well, excuse me, and of course the member chats. I really appreciate you guys tuning in this afternoon. Thank you so much. Jump into the comment section below and let me know your thoughts on anything we talked about here today. I really appreciate it. I will be back for another episode of McRae Live very soon. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy your Sunday, and I will talk to you all very soon. In the meantime and in between time, I will talk to you soon. Cheers.